Ah! Change my... Okay, so... a fan of the show says, hey, I have these Fearless Rolands. Do you want to try them? And I didn't hear Fearless, and I don't know Roland. I know Roland. I know Roland is a band. Is like they make things. No. Fearless Rolands, and this turns out to be a Linsol IM. So Linsol didn't send this to me. I actually have a set of Critical tuned Fearless back there. That's coming up. Ignore those. I haven't touched those yet. I touched these because the guy is like, hey, I want to send them to you. He's out in Europe. He's not going to be able to sell them there. I'll send them to you. Sell them in the yard sale. So I get them, and I ignore them for a bit, like I always do, because I have daily videos come on this channel, and I haven't skipped a day, so I'm not being lazy. So I finally decide to whip them out. He's like, hey, this, and I'm like, okay. I didn't know the construction. I just hooked him up to the Shanling M6 Pro, which is like my new go-to. And I went for a walk in quarantine land, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna... And usually with an IM, it takes roughly 5 to 30 minutes before an IM warms you up to it. Like, I don't think it's possible to put an IM in your ears and just within 30 seconds know. It literally takes there's a seating of the tips, and of course I've got my the Coney tips on here, and then you have to sort of listen to a couple songs and then things sort of pad out, which is why I really usually don't like just doing IMs, because usually I can put a headphone on and in one song I know exactly if it's comfortable, if it's going to work, does it have too much bass. But IMs are a pain in the ass. So I've given these some time because these have not me at all. And I'm just like, why? I'm they're $1,009. Is that the specific? Yeah, I don't know why that's the thing, but they're $1,009 even dollars on both Amazon and Linsol. And when you go to them, either here or there, they come in there's this weird group they are. There's the La Hire, the Lancelot, and the Roland. And this is confusing as hell, the Amazon thing, but I looked on the Linsol one, and basically what it says is all three types have dual electrostatic drivers in them, and then the La Hire has just dual balanced armatures. The Roland, this one, has dual balanced armatures and a dynamic, and the Lancelot has dual electrostat and 6 balanced armatures. So apparently, the trend is those 2 electrostatic drivers, and if we think back to other IMs I've reviewed, nons, that is a key to success. So why am I completely indifferent about how these sound? Indifferent. What? I'm partially, I think that's responsible to the fact that if I plug this into the Shanling, or my Dark Voice, or the 789, or the Rebel amp, and I even had this fucking Solaris on. If I plug it into any of these different amps, they sound different. And I'm not talking about a little difference. I'm talking about upper mid-range just vanishes on the tube. Just gone. The tube can't even talk to half the shit that's happening here. I don't understand it. Then you plug it in here and everything's warm as hell. The Rebel amp's warmer than the tube, and then you put it on the 789, and that's what I was sort of judging against. Because I think, obviously, I don't have to think. I could just point at a piece of paper with the numbers and go, oh, the 789 is obviously the flattest. So judging with how much I have to put into the search for an amplifier for these, it sort of throws me off a bit. Because Zeos of 2020 reviews them, and he tells you what Zeos of 2021 maybe would have different amplifiers that work great. Zeos of 2022 would have. So what I'm trying to say in the most gentle way possible is I don't like the way these sound. I could list a bunch of cheaper IMs, and not just a little cheaper, non-nons are $700, $900, so $1,000 less than $1,000. They don't do anything to ZPP. I'm going to plug them back in. And by the way, the owner sent them with 2 wires. We got this wire, And I'm pretty sure this is the stock wire. So I'm not sure why there's another less nice wire. I mean, I kind of like the weave versus the twist. But it's a 2-pin. Not sure if it's a 7.5 or 7.8 2-pin, but it's a 2-pin. Plug that back in. Low gain on that, by the way. They're very pretty to look at. But I mean, it's an IM, so I mean, all you gotta do is make the mold and then pour glitter into it, and it's boom. Fancy. Now, there is different color versions available on at least the Amazon store. Swap these around so I have the correct ears, because those that tends to help my reviews is when I listen not backwards. Oh, Casey and the Sunshine Band. They don't lack certain effects that I would expect from a $1,000 pair of IMs. They do certain frequencies and certain sounds are like, wow, that is the shakers in Casey and the Sunshine Band. That's the way I like it, which is just a random song came on. I could hear all those different drivers, the 2 electrostatics, the two balanced armatures, and the dynamic. It's 5 ones at each ear. And I could hear they're all doing different things, but it feels like the crossover broke. Like, it's kind of like when you play with a mini DSP, but you're fucking up real bad. So I'm not drawn to this sound where it's like, oh man, this is just... But I can tell there's 2 electrostatic drivers in there, and they could do wonderful things. 2 balanced armatures, you know, that's fine. And I will say this, the dynamic driver certainly carries the low end over on certain tracks. Some tracks I was just shuffling through, and I'm like, all right. And then that $1,000 low end comes in, and you're like, oh. But then it disappears for 3 or 4 more tracks, so you forget about it. So it's not really like a selling point if it's not everywhere all the time. Like the Starfields, I'd take over these. And the Starfields are $130. But they're also an electrostatic and are they an electrostatic and a dynamic or electrostatic? I don't remember what the internals are of the Starfields. But those, after 10, 15 minutes, are like, oh, these. Like I'm listening to whatever, it doesn't matter what I'm listening to. It's the Dexter soundtrack, by the way. It feels like it's delivering sound in multiple parts, but they're all slightly out of time. So I hear like this is wonderful highs, and then there's this knock, and it's great. But nothing sounds coherent. I used upper mid-range again, but I actually used it on purpose, because when you switch to tube or... Here, hold on. Let me get to a song that actually has... Okay, here's a song that I know, and it's got a nice... Ticker Tape from Gorillaz. It's a nice melodic... Bass is immediately more on the Rebel amp. Just like more. I went the same volume. It's like it's off on that. And I don't know if that has to do with the magic... I've done this swapping before. I live here. And I know that this can be a warmer setup, but it's like, you know what these are? These are like fucking HD 800s S or HD 800s where you plug them into an amplifier and that flavor of the amplifier is just MSG. Pour the MSG on it, because however it is, oh, this is a slightly warm amp? Not anymore. Now it's a warm amp. That's a neutral amp? Now it's a really fucking neutral amp. That's a tube amp? We're just going to take the upper mid-range and throw it in the trash. So I don't... Which IM, if you bought these, which IM are you getting? I don't know. I had this exact same argument with the HD800s. I just remembered it. They're so fucking amp dependent. People were buying $2,000 tube amps to try to use HD800S, HD800S to fix the headphone. And there's a lot of options out there. Some a lot cheaper, some a little bit cheaper. I'm going to keep saying nah. That work on like everything without much. There's always going to be a little, you always want to get the flavor of the source, just a little bit. But this is not a little bit. This is not like, oh, if I go from this to that, there's just the gentlest little detail. No! Warm bass. Like it feels... I mean, actually, I have a good question for you all. If you're watching this and you're an IM person, and do you own a tube? How many of you tube your IMs? Because I don't know that. I don't know of anyone in my patronage chat that actively does that. And if you do tube, do you hybrid tube or do you regular tube? Because this tube amps and IMs seems like it would make a lot of sense. I love my the little portable Little Bear. Zeos, link to the little portable Little Bear in the description. I like them the best in the Rebel amp, but that's a lie. That's the problem with that is this is which was one of my favorite players. It's not a Rebel amp, so it sounds more like the 789 when I'm on the Shanling, which is just a neutral setup. So it's like a piano's playing right here, Sunshine Avenue of Hope. And the keys are definitely in my right ear. Like that's just like wow. It's like I could tell the keys are laying flat on a slight angle and put in my right ear, and they're just playing them this way inside my head. Like I could, that's 5 drivers, 5 quality drivers. And the vocals are coming behind my left ear, left eye slightly. And they're a little bit sharp from that. But if I take it out of this and go into this again, hey, all that sharpness is gone. So now you're the warm one, but then you put on sharpness somehow in vocals. So it's because there's... I have another pair of IMs coming at some point, and I think they've got like 7 things inside them, and it's like, we've got 3 electrostatics and 1 balanced armature, but then 2 dynamics. It's like, I've been to shows, I've listened to things. I have my U12Ts, which were 12 in each, 12. And my God, were they spectacular. But those I feel were tuned a lot. There was a lot of tuning. And while these are definitely, you don't sell $1,009 IMs and don't put at least quality things inside them. The problem comes solely to tuning. Solely to tuning, I feel. I think if someone got back in here and they worked out different shaft diameters, maybe there's, I don't know how the actual crossovers work in IMs. Is there like resistors? What are you doing? There is tuning involved. You don't just take shit and, I don't know, drop it in the mold and it's done. You do things to it. You move it in and out. You change distance and tube diameters. And I feel like this has potential, but this is not the one that I would listen to. No. Like I said, I could just hear the piano playing along, but just because the sense of imaging and locatability is exceptional, that doesn't mean I want to listen to it. You have to have at least like 3 or 4 things that sell me on you. You sound like this and you're cheap, because then you could be like that dark horse of like, you know what? Not everyone likes this sound, but for $300, maybe you could put it again, but it wouldn't even be $300. I probably would only recommend something like that if it was like $100. You've got 10 IMs, you want an extra one that sounds weird. These are at a $1,000 IM that sounds weird. And I don't think there's a market. Someone's got them, and I'm sure someone watching this right now is absolutely adores weird IMs, and they're buying them right this second. What'd you say, Zeos? On a tube, you lose all upper mid-range. I love that. Or they have a Rebel amp or a Class A amp, or they're gonna run them balanced. I didn't swap these out to a balanced cable because they come with 2 not balanced cables. And I didn't want to start swapping again. Oh God, please stop the swaps. Please stop the swap.com, which sounds like a terrible anti-porn site. I don't know what to say about these. Other than like, I don't immediately like them. I didn't like them after forcing myself to listen to them. But I could at least appreciate that there's trying. This feels like a raw IM that hasn't been tuned yet. That's all I could say. That's all I could say. This is gonna be a short video. I used an okay, cute wallpaper. She's cute. I don't know if that handle would be comfortable. But I mean, and the thing is, I have to sell these in the yard sale now. And give the money to the man who gave them to the channel. So this is like, but I can't, I won't full out recommend these. These are the greatest things ever. Zeos, you love everything. Love this for me. I don't really. Because even like Andromeda, which is the detail Queen of Chicago. I don't know why. I guess Sausage King of Chicago came to mind from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's how my brain works. So even though Andromeda are the detail queens of Chicago, like, they don't have 2 electrostats. They're not doing anything like that. So why are those better than this still? Why have those are like 4 years old, 3 years old? How old are Andromedas? I like them. I like them. I have so many more IMs on my desk. So many more that have more potential. I'll get to the Blessing 2s already. I'll get to them. I'll get to those. Critical, which is apparently, like, I don't know anything about really the IM world, so this is all new. But apparently Critical's a guy who is got a list. He's got a list. And it's not one of those bad lists that if you're on it, you die, like in Death Note, which I haven't seen. But it's like he apparently helped in tuning those. And I feel like that's what's missing is someone who's got the ear for it. I know at least him or someone had the U12Ts at the top of their list, and that's a good place to start. So I'm going to take the Rolands now. I'm going to wipe them off. I'm going to put them back in this case with their wire and the extra tips. And maybe I'll throw in some Dakoni tips for the people who buy this. And this will be in next month's yard sale. And if you've always wanted them, or if you heard different from my perspective of it, run with that. I mean, I like IAMs that have a certain sound. And a lot of people shit on my opinions, but it's still just my opinion. You know, if I say Nanas are my favorite sounding IAM, that has nothing to do with measurements. That has nothing to do with how much it weighs or what the impedance is or look at this spike or this dip. It's just what I like to listen to. That particular IM touched my pee-pee. And this one is just nowhere near my pee-pee. It's nowhere near it. I got a whole box of IMs there, either sent to me by companies or bought myself, that every one of them does something that's like, ooh. The fucking Shure tapes, those were the ones that had like that first flavor of like, wow, why is this treble so insanely detailed? Electrostatic driver. So now we've got 2 of them in here, and I didn't say that same thing again, even though those are so much cheaper and older. So it's like, I'm done now. I'm gonna give the outro, and I hope to see you all tomorrow for another IM review. Maybe it won't be an IM review. Maybe it'll be a review of my socks. That wallpaper available in the description. All wallpapers available on Patreon and Subscribestar. Feel free to use Sauce Now or IQDB to look up the original artists. Thank them directly. A lot of them are on Twitter or Pixiv. And if you join that $5 Patreon or Subscribestar, you can bid in the yard sale, which this will be in next month. Whatever month this is, June, July 1st or 2nd, depending if I'm lazy. We'll have a video that says, hey, I'm selling all this stuff in the yard sale, and this will be one of those things. And then from the 1st to the 10th of every month, if you live in the continental United States, you bid, and I ship for free. If you live internationally, which is anywhere not America, continental, you have to pay half shipping, but I will sell you everything in the yard sale. So that, you get to see these reviews early, which can help if I'm doing something that's like exceptionally special and it's gonna be sold out. So that's another thing. Or you just can't get enough Zeos. Zeos, so show me your cat. Ask me any question you want on platform. Although I have to admit this, today I had a few 800-word questions in my messages. I literally ran them into a site and it was like 793 words with 14,000 characters. And I'm like, this is one of the 40 questions I have to answer. And then I fell over. But yeah, I will answer your questions on platform, either Subscribestar or Patreon. Both work. You can see all these videos, both work. Yard sale, both work. The $10 Telegram chat, which lives on my phone. If you want to ask me questions directly, either with long text or with your voice, or show me video bubbles that say, hey, look, why is this doing this? Me and 200 other people will help you. Because those people are the OCD fanboys. And I'm sure they have opinions on this, which I'd like to hear, actually. And I'll ask them. I don't like to ask people's opinions of things before I get the review done, because they might say, well, Zeo's this, well, Zeo's this, and I don't know. I just want to listen. And if I listen and I don't like it, then that's what you get this video. So yeah, Telegram is available for either Subscribestar or Patreon. Don't forget to check out Hi-Fi Guides. There should be on the forum, there's an IM section, and I'm not sure if these are on it yet, but if we go there, I'll make sure Audio Legacy 3s, those are behind me as well. Wow, there's so many IMs. So many IMs. I'm sure they'll be here. we'll get to this. We'll get to this. All right, so that's it. The wallpaper, support the channel, links in the pinned comment or the description. These will be in the yard sale. Thank you to the owner for sending them out. I wish I liked them more, because then it would probably sell for more, but I mean, help a brother out and buy his IAMs. I mean, he's been without them for like 3 months, so I don't think he's like starving to death, but still. This was a lovely gesture. And you could do this if you want to send something in and you just like, I don't need this anymore, Zeos. I will review it and sell it. I'm that kind of guy. Zeos is the kind of guy who will review someone's stuff and sell it, and then only keep a small percentage. Although I might not in this case. But yeah, done. See you tomorrow.